I'm joined by Detective Constable Dave Wein from the Kingston Police, and today we're going to talk about romance scams. Now, Dave, those are two words I never thought I'd be putting together, but there you go. So tell me, what is a romance scam?
Romance scam is mainly where someone is trying to find love on a dating site, and they put their profile up, pretty much revealing everything about themselves, being widowed or single, and someone responds to their request for friendship and starts corresponding with the victim. And many times after several weeks, months, the suspect starts with asking to send money. And leading up to that, they're sending numerous kind messages, loving messages, and a majority of the time, they're not showing their face. Majority of them are saying that they're in the Army, the Armed Forces, they're in the oil fields overseas. They can't get reception, and can only be done by text and phone.
So that's the reason why you're never going to meet this person in person. But what surprised me is, and you know, I'm probably like everybody else. When I heard about this, I rolled my eyes and I said, oh, please, you're going to send thousands of dollars to someone that you've never met. But this takes a really nasty turn. So it stops with the, you know, we have a life together and let's plan our lives and you know, I can't live without you kind of messaging. And then it takes a really nasty turn. Can you tell me what happens?
Yeah, usually they after they've baited them in and got the victims thinking that they're in love, they start giving sob stories about they need money to live, even though they're in the Army or making a lot of money in the oil fields. They need money to live. They also need to send gold or different types of items to Canada. I've shipped something. Can you receive it? I'm having a friend send some checks. Can you cash them for me? And then send them usually by wire, Western Union, that type of thing. And a strong majority of the money goes overseas. Of course, there are cases where money is kept here in Canada and North America, but a majority of the time it's sent overseas.
Now, sometimes you send money thinking that you're, like, let's say, to cash checks for a friend or something like that, and then it turns and says, well, you were part of a fraud, that because you cashed this check, now you're in trouble. And isn't that what a lot of them do? And now you've got, well, the ones I heard about were women. They're suddenly panicking and saying, oh my gosh, I'm a law-abiding citizen, and now I'm being charged with fraud. And that's
that
when
can happen, but majority of those people are known as mules, and they're taking money from one victim, maybe in Eastern Canada or Western Canada. They're receiving money and they're sending it off to someone else. Sometimes it's sent overseas, and sometimes it's just sent to another account. So a lot of times that those people, they're actually not in any trouble. We can check with their bank to confirm that those type of transactions, they were fraudulent. I did one this morning where I've been investigating it for a while. Money was sent to a person in Windsor, and I found out this morning that that person there was a money mule. Windsor Police talked to that person. So it's sad, they're playing on emotions, but there's so many places where you can do your research. You can Google so many different types of romance scams. And a really good one that I'd mentioned in our correspondence is W5 from CTV, The Invisible Man. A great, it's a sad, of course, scenario. Also one from Ottawa on CTV, The Suckers List. There's also the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center where you can log in and be shown how to look for different types of scams. And the Canadian Bankers Association, you can look up those websites and they'll give you ways to prevent yourself from being defrauded.
The thing that struck me is there's a second victim here, and that are these, men whose picture they're using. And these have nothing to do with it. They're just regular, nice-looking men who posted their pictures on Facebook. So they've grabbed those, and one was, and again, thank you for sending me that information to view. It was thousands. His image had been used to defraud thousands of women, and he had nothing to do with it. So that's another big one right there. Is what struck me was, okay, you can't meet in person. I get that. But you can have a Zoom meeting. And if they're never available to have a Zoom meeting with you, because you'd certainly know right away this is not the person in the picture, right. Is that, or should you not even let it go that far?
As far as I'm concerned, and the police, you shouldn't even let it go that far. Unless you're meeting someone locally or willing or can actually meet them in face to face, there's a high chance you're going to be scammed. If people are making excuses that they cannot meet in person for whatever reason, take your lumps. And if you're going to continue on the dating site, find someone local or someone that you can meet in person. Now, we're certainly not saying that if you meet in person, this person may not be a scammer, but the chances are a lot less.
Yeah, and it also seemed with both of these that it moved too fast. They're suddenly, after a matter of weeks, they're pledging undying love for you and you've never even met. And I think that's when my antenna would be going up and thinking, you don't even know me. How can you be saying this? So it's both men and women who can be victimized. Is that true?
Oh, for sure. On a different case that I have, involving one particular branch, a victim here in Kingston was asked to go to this bank and deposit $10,000 in cash. So the person went and deposited the money into the account, all legit, everything was fine. She went and did it again and then did it a third time, and the teller actually told her, there's something going on here, you need to look into this. So I did my investigation. I did we call it a production order, search warrant on the account. And it was deemed, I was able to locate 3 other victims across Canada, including a male from Alberta. So hopefully in this case here, and the account that the money was put into ended up being a fictitious account. It was opened up with fake identification. So, but someone was able to take the money out, but it's not a legitimate account.
Got it. So you've been doing this for a while. What happens to these fraudsters? Have you got cases where they've been sent away or something has actually happened to them? Are they easy to catch, hard to catch?
It's almost next to impossible to catch them because a strong majority of them are overseas. They do have the local, like mules and stuff like that. There have been cases in Canada that arrests have been made. And once again, if your viewers watch the Invisible Man, they'll talk about the examples in Toronto, where a certain gang has been involved. In Kingston, I've been in the fraud unit now 4 years. I haven't laid a charge for anyone.
Okay.
We have potential suspects, but once again, identity is always an issue, and you have to be able to prove identity.
Okay. So, red flags. Number one, that they're not local. Number two, that there always seems to be a reason why they can't meet you in person. What else would you suggest people, men and women, look for if they've been approached?
Well, you can, if you're able to get I'll give you another example of what they do. As they go along, a lot of times these people will actually say, hey, here's a picture of my passport. Here's a picture of my legal documents. And they'll send them to the victim. And they're always fake. If you get a Facebook picture, something like that, you can actually look it up on Facebook, whether the name is the same as the real person. You can do a Google, a reverse search on a person's picture, see if it's been used around the world before. So I understand a lot of the victims are elderly. Not them all. There are some young people. Majority of them are elderly, and you know what? They're not as savvy on the computer, just like me. You know, I'm over the age of 50, and I'm still learning. If you're not sure, ask. There's so many different websites out there to assist you. All you have to do is Google it and find appropriate one that are Canadian. Like all other scammers are on Google. If you look even Australia, there's a lot of Australian victims of romance scams as well, and they put out some really good videos as well. So like it's out there. There are educational pieces out there for people.
And just one last question. If, for example, if I thought that this was a scam, could I walk into the police department and say, could I speak to Dave about this? Or could I speak to somebody because this is really making me uncomfortable and I'm not sure what to do?
Right. The best way, because of the COVID situation, is you can go online to the Kingston. If you're a resident of Kingston, you can go onto the Kingston Police website and you can file an online report. If you're not comfortable with that, making an online report, you can phone the front desk and have them, the person can explain what happened. They can take a very minor report and ask for it to be assigned to a police officer.
Okay.
So would have a 25% chance it would be me. So.
Okay. This has been great. I've learned a lot. It's a scary world out there, and I've got to think that Valentine's, here we are, and it's a time, if you're on your own, it's a vulnerable time, and we're just coming out of 11 months of social isolation, so I've got to think this would be a big problem now more than ever before. And I appreciate the heads up. I appreciate your talking to us today. I learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Nice to meet you.